right, how's everybody feeling? Y'all alright? Good. Alright, good information? Alright, Brother Griffin.
1 second while we bring on red pill, blue pill, and red pill. I just want to say we always have to acknowledge the people that help us get to the point where we will never forget them. Yesterday was Marcus Garvey's day. Let's give Marcus Garvey a gold. Keep it and never say Marcus Garvey alive. And we should be dedicating these 2 days to our good sister, Miss Aretha Franklin. Let's give now ancestor Aretha Franklin a round of applause. And I do have to acknowledge my beautiful wife, Miss Soleil. Can you stand up for a second? Give her a round of applause. And her beautiful wife, Crystal. Stand up, Crystal. You better stop. An accomplished comedian. All right. But anyway, I really appreciate that. And, you know, a lot of times, seriously, brothers, take it from me. It's the little things that count, man. Take us a long way. You understand what I'm saying? All right, blue pill. You ready, man?
Yes, indeed. Alright. I also want to acknowledge also this day last year, Brother Bob and Dick Gregory who passed away. Give him a big round of applause. He was a giant and a big help to Reality Speaks. We brought him all the time. He will always come. For 17 years we've been bringing him up. So brothers and sisters, let's give it up for the brother Phil. Give him a big round of applause.
Peace, family, peace. Peace. How's everybody doing today? You just got up from a break. Y'all want to stand up and just shake yourselves off just a little bit? Okay. We got about 15, 20 push-ups in. Let's do it right here. All right, family. I want to say, well, first and foremost, I want to ask my elders in the audience for permission to speak. I guess I'll have to tell you how old I am to see if you're my elders, but thank you. Also, like the brother said, we want to dedicate this to our ancestors. There's a litany of them that need to be recognized and acknowledged. Our latest ancestor or elder to join the pantheon of ancestors is the Queen Mother herself, Aretha Franklin. All right, so please give a warm hand for our sister. Let her hear you in the heavens. Her counterpart, you know what I'm saying? Not only the original king of comedy, but the king of stand-up consciousness, our brother Dick Gregory. And there are many other ancestors whose names we have not only forgotten, but are unnamed and unmentioned. You know what I'm saying? And that's who we come out here and we put on for the people who are unnamed and unspoken for, whose legacies are not only forgotten, they're just not even archived. You feel me? So there's somebody that made transition last night. There's somebody that even made transition today that we want to give it up for. So for the unnamed, unspoken ancestors that are amongst the pantheon as well, let's give it up for them too. Now, in particular, you know, every message that we have for the people doesn't work in every region, you know? When I go to New York, I can't talk to New Yorkers about agriculture. I can't speak to them about controlling their food supply because everything is dependent on what they have available in the concrete jungle, right? But when we come into regions such as this, you know what I'm saying, Maryland in particular, these regions can understand when we speak about agriculture and agribusiness, all right? In particular, I was here last year sometime. The brother Irritated Genie had an amazing presentation put together as part of his Monday series. And there was a young brother that was up here. I have to grab my phone because he texted me the information, but I'm gonna get that to you before I leave. But this brother, a phenomenal mind, was speaking about the importance of owning and controlling our own industry here in this particular area. And I've been traveling the country and going into different places that our people reside. And the majority of the places that our people reside, even if they're city-based, they still have some component of agriculture connected and attached to it, right? Because cities are financial centers and they're surrounded by rural areas. So there's land everywhere. Even in New York, there's land outside of New York, not too far. But what I was able to decipher from these travels, you know, and from touching the people and speaking to the people where they're at, is that the majority of our people, wherever they're at, the thing that they're looking most for is commonality and community, you know, because they say, I'm the only one on my block, I'm the only one in my household, I'm the only one in my community, I'm the only one in my church that deals with this information. So, you know, when I come to areas that are abundant in land, I try to leave the people with a message to say, look, you don't have to necessarily, you know, if you see something, because everybody sees New York City like it's a shining mecca, right? And it's mainly just steel and glass and concrete. But for us to really attune our minds to where it is that we need to be directing our focus at this particular time, we have to get back to the land and on our own terms. Not like New Yorkers that are getting run out of New York and coming into the South with a bit of attitude because they got, you know what I'm saying, replaced out of the empire and they can't see the fortune around them. All right, so we have been totally separated from our connection to the land, so we don't take pride in the land. We don't see the wealth in the land. All right, our people no longer even see the wealth in the cities because they're being gentrified and they're being moved out of that particular dynamic. So even when you find the family in the city, they're still not defending that particular platform as if that's somewhere where they need to station themselves and boggle down and make things happen. So the level of apathy from our people, I can only really trace it back to a few things in particular, and one of the main things is nutrition, right? Now there was a monumental case that just took place last week where Monsanto was found guilty of knowingly, right, putting out a product, which is their staple product, that has caused cancer, Roundup, right? And again, because we are in an area that deals heavily in agriculture, is anybody a farmhand here? Does anybody deal with agriculture that knows about the scourge of Roundup?
Yeah, I was just actually listening to Inky.
Yes, Inky did an amazing presentation. This on Black Magic.
Yeah, so I'm very hip about it. I forgot the word, the G word that's in it. What's the word?
Glyphosate, or
yeah. Chemical that causes cancer. It's basically a poison.
Yes, indeed.
And what it does is actually it takes the pulls the chemicals, the positive chemicals with the tryptophan and a couple of amino acids that you need to tap into that third eye. It actually pulls it out of the foods.
Right.
Right. So even when you're growing some of these foods that you're supposed to grow, and you're using the weeds to kill the weeds that you're putting in the weeds, you're actually killing the product that actually makes you stronger and gives you that third eye birth.
Right. So the food which is supposed to be responsible for sustaining life and giving life is actually sapping life. All right? Yes, brother.
Heard about the water fetuses?
The water feed system?
Aborted fetuses.
Oh, the aborted fetuses where?
In the food, processed food.
Yes, we heard about that as well. Right? So again, there's a long litany of charges that can be brought up against not only Monsanto, but the food, or what they call the food industry, right? Because food's supposed to sustain, food's supposed to give life. None of these things do that. There are two characteristics of GMO food, right? Or food that is being born or cultivated utilizing Roundup. They have two attributes. They're weather resistance and they're called terminator seeds. So after one bearing, after one birth, they terminate themselves. So in the streets of Harlem, about 2005 or 2006, I got into the vending. So I'm on the street every single day in Harlem. And I started noticing patterns in our people, because we don't need to look no further than our people to find out what the effects of these things are. So I started seeing young women coming out in the months of October, November. Now this is the true test of a vendor in Harlem. If you can stand the 30-degree weather in Harlem, 20-degree weather, to stand there for your people and maybe walk away with $60 a day, then you're a legend. All right. So we was out there, right? Bearing, it's like you hiking to the North Pole, like, because the wind gusts and the currents and everything in New York is fierce coming off of those buildings, those steel buildings. So I started noticing young women, right, first I started noticing the young women pushing strollers, okay? And they would have newborn children. Babies wasn't no more than 6 or 8 months. But then they would have an AG to their side. If you don't know what an AG is a what they call an aggressive. A lesbian that looks like Lil Wayne, okay? They have AGs with them, and I was trying to figure out, how did this happen? Like, you know what I'm saying? How did she make this concise decision right outside of childbirth to switch up her whole situation? She didn't even give homie a year to get his act together. She switched it all up. Not only switch it up, but she's out in public with this particular demonstration. Then I started seeing young women come out to Harlem that had their jackets visibly open and their shirts was up to here. It's 20 degrees, you know what I'm saying? But what really threw me off is that I started seeing young men, right? This is when the sagging era started. And the young men would have their jeans down to here and they would be exposing their drawers. Now, normally that's something that we would look at and we would scoff at or what have you. But if you understand anatomy, if it's 20 degrees, right, and your testicles is what regulates your body temperature, how is this person, like, did you ever get a cold rush through one of, you know what I'm saying, your extremities? It should do something totally, it's a whole different type of feeling. So I'm looking at these people that are impervious to all of these conditions, right? And what they all had in common is that they was either coming from a fast food place, or they was on their way to a fast food place, or you could see on top of the stroller, or, you know, with the homies for that case, them niggas will have like the McDonald's bag hanging out of their bottom pants down here. So I'm like, okay, so this is something common with the diet. This has something to do with the diet. These people have actually embodied the characteristics of the GMO food that they have been raised on their entire life, right? Not that they got onto later on in life, their entire life. What do I mean by their entire life? I mean that from the womb, they were being fed this particular food from their parent. And if that wasn't the case, when they were born, they was given Similac or, you know, Gerber or whatever that shit is. And then it was introduced, right? Because they said that you can't feed a baby a steak. So when they got little teeth in their gums, then they started giving them little pieces of McDonald's burger, what have you. And then, you know, they just started the gradual process. So corn in particular is in 95% of the food source in this particular country. So we don't even have to say, oh, you know, they got it when they started eating cereal, or they got it, like everything, the grits, the cereal, the this or that. Corn is in there. Corn is one of the most GMO products, period. So this is what even they started rolling out Roundout for, to decimate that whole entire corn industry. And because corn is very important in this country, that's how you pay homage to the deities of this country, the spirits of this particular land. They grow tobacco and they grow corn. And that's how they keep a certain aspect of karmic energy, you know what I'm saying, pretty much equalized, because they're feeding the spirits of the land, all right? But they're giving them GMO corn, and they're giving them tobacco and stuff of that nature. So I started noticing, like I said, some very visible effects on our people. But it's very hard to explain this to the family in 2006, 7, and 8. People just don't want to, you know, this information wasn't readily available. You know, and even now, even though it's available, it's still not something that we necessarily get. It seems very far-fetched to say that the things that we crave and the things that we have been, you know, because a person will look at their body and equate that to health, to say, well, I've been eating this stuff all my life and look at me. And that's not really where health is a marker or indicator at. This is biogenetic warfare, all right? These are things that people who are natural eugenists have come up with. You know what I'm saying? These are things that people who have been at this activity since the 1600s have mastered at this particular time. So our people are at a detriment, all right? Everywhere that I go, I can see it in the people, you know what I'm saying? We can look at the health statistics and we can see what's going on. So what are we gonna do? The only thing that needs to be done is we need to change our diets. But what does that mean? Because it's easy to say we need to change our diets. I'm no longer just a person that says, well, we need to just totally stick with a plant-based diet. I'm just saying, if you're gonna eat meat, don't eat it from the Europeans, right? Don't eat it from the Europeans. Like, there's an entire market dealing with livestock. You know, when I was in Georgia, and brothers was introducing me to this whole concept of the economy that revolves around that. Because if we're gonna be real with ourselves, then we have to say, look, the majority of our people are still eating this particular food. Regardless of how much information we bring to our people, they're not gonna pack these particular venues and be running down kale every day. Some of them are still gonna eat the meat. That's what they're gonna do. But they need not be eating inferior meat. They need not be eating all of this, the stuff that you find in the grocery that got paste glue in it. It's 3 months old and they're pumping all of this stuff up in it. You know what I'm saying? I was actually, I was privy to see the whole process of how they, they killed a very large animal in my presence. You know what I'm saying? There was a whole spiritual ceremony involved. They blessed the meat. You know what I'm saying? They killed it, they skinned it, they cut it up. And, I'm like, look, if anybody's gonna eat meat, they should eat it under these particular conditions. You feel me? There's a cleansing process that takes place afterwards. And, that's what I can advocate. I can no longer just say, we only need to be eating plant-based because everybody's not gonna eat plant-based. So we're gonna forget the percentage of people of our family that are still eating meats. We can't do that. You know what I'm saying? So for the family that's out here in these areas where you can cultivate land and you can get into, raising livestock or whatever it is that you do, that's what we need to be doing. That could be some of the answers, because you can't take away from a person and say you can't do this or you shouldn't be doing this or this is why, you feel me? But you can't replace anything. You know what I mean? So, Irritated Genie, you in the building?
Yeah.
Do you have the brother's information? Because my phone is over there still. Now, this brother, like I said, when Irritated Genie brought him forth, he has an entire research institute and it's based down here. His brother's an agriculturist, and he also can explain to you this whole aspect of genetically modified seeds, because people run around and they think heirloom seeds are the answer. They've been genetically modifying heirloom seeds since the late 1600s to the early 1700s. These people, this is nothing new to them, all right? So the brother's name is Cedric, and the organization, Organic and Heirloom Seeds, is his specialty, and he also has a think tank called the School of Ancient Alkebulic Mystic Rites, okay?
Can you repeat that, please?
Yes. The School of Ancient Alkebulic, I'll spell that ALKEBU-LANIC, Alkebulic Mystic Rites, Inc. Okay? And the brother does seed giveaways. You know what I'm saying? This brother has, I learned so much information in a short period of time just from being in his presence. He was doing a lecture and he was just giving away information. You dig what I'm saying? So the brother is, he's hands-on. He can show you how to cultivate these seeds. He can show you what best seeds are for what best harvest. You know what I'm saying? And he can get you ancient seeds as well. There's a whole culture around saving and cultivating ancient seeds, because Monsanto will prosecute you if you don't use Monsanto seeds. So not only have they brought Frankenstein's seeds to the to the forefront of the entire agricultural business, but they have criminalized people that are trying or willing to go against them and do for self, right? To sustain health for themselves and their family. This is criminal, okay?
You also patent soy as well, right? Soy.
Yeah.
I heard you mention corn and
Yes.
tobacco. Soy is
Yes.
another big.
Yes, soy is another big one. You know what I'm saying? Soy, lecithin, that's about 85% of the food source as well. You know.
Didn't they lose a lawsuit against them or something for some millions of dollars?
Who?
Monsanto.
Yeah, we talking about that. Yeah. Monsanto just lost a case, substantial case. And if the family was to get together and put a class action suit together, then that can potentially topple this behemoth. I can't even begin to tell you how large this corporation is, or how much damage they have wreaked on the lives of billions on the planet. You understand? So stay focused. Like I said, if you can source these particular vegetables in this area, make sure that you do it from farmers. I wouldn't even recommend going to the Whole Foods or any of those places, because they get in Monsanto food. They couldn't get nothing other than that. So all of that food is considered organic or what have you. All of that stuff is grown in Roundup. You dig what I'm saying? You gotta find some farmers out here. If you was in Pennsylvania, I would say holla at the Amish, but I understand that that's not too far from here either. Yeah. So you can holla at the Amish, you know what I'm saying? Like, real talk, I was in Philadelphia last weekend. I have never, in this lifetime, had watermelon that tastes like that. And the watermelons that the Amish have was like, real talk. It was,
Can't even lift them watermelons.
huh?
No, I said they can't even lift them watermelons.
They got somebody doing it. You feel me?
I want to say they open 7 days a week, but if not 7, at least 6, they have the Amish have a farmer's market in St. Mary.
Oh, down here?
Yeah, St. Mary. It's probably about a half an hour, 40 minutes away.
Okay.
It's every day though.
Yeah. I would definitely recommend, you know what I'm saying, you know, with all of the weirdness aside that they might be engaged in that we don't understand, in terms of food cultivation, they are on top of their game. I don't know too many other denominations or, you know what I'm saying, societies of people that are really just doing it like that, like the quote unquote, you know, like we should do it back in the day, because everybody falls under this particular jurisdiction. So when they flip the script, everybody has to follow. So you need to find somebody that's outside of that matrix that's still making the food that's actually still food. All right. So with that, and make sure that you come to everlasting life and that you get your food here as well, because you know there's a premium to not only healthy food, but food that is in the vein of what we remember food's supposed to taste like, right? So they seasoning the food the right way. They have a multiplicity of options. You know what I'm saying? And this is a great congregation place for you to find like minds. All right. I remember we just randomly came in here last year, and I just ran into Professor Griff and Soleil. You know what I'm saying? And I would always see the brother Irritated Genie here. So it's a wonderful place in the community for like minds to gather. I want to thank you. All right. Give yourselves a round of applause. Bring the brother Red Pill on. All right, y'all. Peace.
Peace. Give yourselves a hand, please. All right. So, if you're not familiar with me, my name is Brother Red Pill, one half of the Twin Pillars. That's my twin brother, Blue Pillar. That's just not somebody who I look like. We've been doing this for a very long time. If you're not familiar with us, YouTube and Google is your best friend. Red Pillar, Blue Pillar. I will keep you away from your job, so be careful. We have a lot of content out there. You know what I'm talking about? So you gotta be careful, but dive in. We do what our names say. Red Pill in the Matrix is the pill that you took if you wanted to wake up and unplug and be about what is known as the path of enlightenment. That is my job. That's what I've been doing for more than a decade, dedicated. We had a radio show, Know the Ledge Radio, a podcast, came out in 2009, 700 plus shows deep, every Tuesday and Friday, never missed a show. Every single lecturer and speaker that you can think of, including an Irritated Genie, where's he at? Yeah. We all had they were all guests on the show. We transitioned after that and began doing YouTube. We could be found on Black Magic 363, Black News 102, BABATV. Give my brother BABATV a round of applause. Fire every time. Shout out to Professor Griff. I want to thank you for believing in me and my brother. Like the brother said, one of our first lectures was in 2009 in Atlanta, and we were able to do Fear of a Black Planet with my good brother, the OG, Professor Griff, who, in my opinion, my humble opinion, is one of the most important scholars when it comes to hip hop on the planet. Who else was there? I don't trust teachers who speak about subjects in times that they know nothing of. And you've been bamboozled and hoodwinked by YouTube and the free access that people have to your brains, the highest form of real estate that you own. Take your brains back. Y'all been handing it over to nincompoops. Now I'm dead serious. To egomaniacs, to sadomasochists. You dig what I'm saying? to people who are not qualified to have real estate inside of your hearts and minds. Sociopaths. Have you seen them lately? You know, we were having this conversation on the way here, and I was saying that, you know, we have to revere our elders. We have to revere the ones who just made transition. They were special. Do you know why? I could simply point it out. Because they had longevity. They earned the title elders. When you look at this new crop that they got, that you've been presented with, they have no longevity. Many of them did not even survive the race. They're not anywhere to be found right now. They are not doing the work. We signed up to do a job against all odds.
Yeah.
Life on the line, face on the line. I'm recognized everywhere that I go, for good or the bad. So when the people is pulling up, oh, sweat, red and blue. Well, goddammit, the enemy is also creeping too. Oh, red and the blue. Yeah. I had a situation in Houston, Texas, a few months ago where I went to eat some tacos, right? In the minute I walked in the spot, it must have been like an alt-right rally in there. You feel me? And I was with my daughter and her mother, and those people, I'm talking about spider web tattoos on the elbow, and in Texas they wear their hammers on their hips. They were looking at me like it was Taco Tuesdays. Like they wanted to eat my food. Because they recognize, oh, this is an op right here. We could score one big for the team. We could catch him in his job, because they don't play fair. Yeah. So a lot of us signed up to do this work. We doing it for you. There's no riches, there ain't no pot of gold at the end of the road of this. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing this for my mama's name. I'm doing this for Dr. Sabi's name. I'm doing it for the children that are coming up after me. There's no 401k in consciousness. How many people died penniless? Think about it. But where are their centers of honorarium? Where are their buildings where their pictures are up, where their lectures are playing every day? That's how we could build our towns up, because they were just having this conversation about community. Well, the best place that you can anchor community is do what Walt Disney did. Do what the Jew did in Hollywood. He built a city around a concept. Yeah. So the best thing that we can all agree to, because people come up with all of these reasons not to get along, it's based off of the lack of self-love and a lack of guarding that you got within. You don't want to get busy, so you come up with all of these excuses not to stand next to people that are doing the work. It's as simple as that, because when you do the work and when you know that you're doing this ancestral work, you won't ever find too much fault in people that are around you, only if those people are detriments to you. You know what I'm saying? So we can come together and agree on one thing, and that's that the teachers who have come before us were some of the greatest people who we have ever seen in our lifetime. They're different. You understand? Yeah, they might have had disagreements with each other, but how many of them crashed and burned before your eyes? How many of them revealed their weaknesses before the world and embarrassed millions of other people while doing such? I mean, they were on Donahue and other places having little spats and whatnot, but they held their own. They were famous like these people of today, so you can't say that it's the Instagram that's doing it. But they stayed true to the mission, and some of them died on their feet, staying true to the mission without nothing to eat, not being able to see. So we got to honor them, because they're the ones that are sending this information. They're the ones that are going to be still moving the pendulum and making things work out the way that we need it to work out, so we could move forward in the direction that we need to move forward. So I got to breeze through what I went through yesterday inside of Baltimore and get to where we're at now. Briefly, we were running through the Fear of a Black Planet Part 2. What that was highlighting was the fact that the people who are in outward opposition towards our people, right, are not as supreme as you say that they are. I beg to differ. I don't like utilizing the term white supremacy. The only time that I find it warranted is when you're tapping into the definition that Neely Fuller and Dr. Francis Cress Welsing laid out for the people. That's the proper definition. Not the definition that they'll give you in Wikipedia. Because when you read the definition, their acts don't measure up to the definition. The same person that you're looking at, who be on the phone, hands, you know what I'm saying, shaking when they try to permit Patty and, you know, what's her name, Barbecue Becky, when they're trying to tell on you and call the authorities, their hands are shaking. They're in perpetual states of fear. It's not supremacy. You understand? When they see you smiling, they get mad. That's not supremacy. You understand? You go into a room. Laughter is just a, you know, this is a challenge. You know what I'm saying? Black man challenge. 100 Ken dolls in one room, right? They all in there doing what they do, bromancing each other, you know, fist bumping and all of that stuff that white men do when they're in a room with each other. Be careful when you go in there, right? Wear a chastity belt. Take your shirt off around those 100 white guys. Well, maybe not take your shirt off, but you know, make a muscle or something. And I promise you, that whole room will go goddamn silent and you'll start feeling all of this weird energy around you. That's not supremacy. There's a genetic inferior on this planet alongside a genetic superior. We don't have to apologize for knowing that fact.
Right.
You understand? We don't have to lay out any kind of provisions before we say what we gotta say. No, you stand on your truth. Okay? There's a genetic inferior on the planet. That genetic inferior is reaping all kind of chaos, magic around the world. It's not just chaos, it's chaos magic. Meaning that they thrive in chaos. They know how to cook your tears. You know what I'm talking about? The more that you cry, the more that you're upset, the more that you're feeling down and despaired about yourselves, is the stronger that they can get. Sounds like a relationship between a parasite and a host, which happens to be one of the oldest relationships on this planet, mind you. So you got to begin to identify who's the parasite and who's the host. You might think that you're a parasite because they say, oh, you know, y'all always want to get these free eggs from us. You know what I'm talking about? And this cheese and whatnot. And you're all, you know, you're all getting assistance from us. Whereas you don't even realize the majority of the natural resources, the majority of the land that they're exceeding from you, meaning that they're sitting in your throne, meaning that they have all of your resources, all of this open land that our elders had titles and deeds to, right? Like when you talk to brothers and sisters in the Gulf Coast region whose family was sitting on billions of dollars of oil, right? Then they violated the treaty. All of this Maryland and all of these treaties and all of this land and all of the natural resources. How are they taking care of somebody when they took your stuff? You know what I'm saying? They're just cutting you they're just really cutting you a be quiet check. Like, sure, don't make no noise about here's your little welfare or whatever else. Here's your stipends. You're vassals of the state. You're paying them taxes and they're just giving you things to band-aid you. And then they have other people around you working for them who basically fulfill their agenda every Sunday. But then every Monday to Friday, because we ain't gonna just put it on the church, we could talk about the state workers. We could talk about the people that are working for the federal government. We could talk about the majority of people that we know who are cohorts. Because they talk about the system. But who's controlling, who's battery operating the system? Whose life force is powering the system? Really think about that. Those men, the black bodies, those boys. It's almost like when they put the chickens into the goddamn chicken McNugget machine. Your cannon fodder. They're feeding off of your bodies. They monetize your corpse. You understand? Whether you're living or dying, they still know how to flip that. Organ harvesting. Every single piece. The same way that you could organ harvest a pig. Right? They make products out of every single part of that animal. That's the same thing that they're doing with the human body. I believe it was the Kosovo conflict with the Serbians. That was the beginning of what is known as organ harvesting on the black market, the way that people sell drugs. It was taking place before, but it opened up into a humongous market as a result of that conflict, and it's been booming ever since. They got things in Jamaica where the drug dealers are no longer flipping birds, they're just taking little girls and selling their bodies to the Israelis and other people because that's worth more than a bird. So this is a movement called a Red Pill movement. It's a bunch of European men who are homoerotics, okay? They hate women, the same womb that they came from. So they're masking themselves behind this movement called the Red Pill movement, where they say men are not women's protectors, providers, or baby makers. This is the mind of the people that we're dealing with. This is the progenitor to what you know as the alt-right and all of these other groups that you see on 4chan and all of this other stuff. Okay? But it's also breeding what is known as mental illness. Alright? Toxic masculinity. These men that you see that are these school shooters and whatnot, look at their faces. Look at their eyes. Look at their expressions. Okay? These are sociopaths. These are psychos. You might work with some. You might have went on a Tinder date with a few. Talk about it. You might shrink around some of them and try to make them feel good about themselves on a daily basis. I don't know why. Why would you do that to yourself? Why would you suppress your greatness around people like that? My guy right here, Kanye West. That's when you hear the information that he's spewing. That's why when I heard it, I immediately picked up on it because I was doing the research about these people prior to that. He's running around red pilling, and they call it an actual process. They call it being red pilled. You understand? So now they're perverting, and now they're taking actual names of people that are in this community and coming up with a counter measure to it. The same way that there's a white Phil Valentine. There's a European Hakeem Bey. Facts. I'm dead serious. Victim culture, men are getting weaker, America's collapsing. The fall of America, Elijah Muhammad, how did he know? You're dealing with a prophet right now. Right. Let's stop playing games. Marcus Mosiah Garvey. The opinions, the philosophies and opinions. How did he know? What telescope was he looking into where he could forecast 100 years ahead of himself? I promise you, if I read you, let me read a few. Let me just show you. This is from the Fall of America. If we continue to accept these injustices, hold on. Let me start right here. We are taught the new day, the new world, if you please, cannot come into full meaning until justice comes to our people. So anything that you're trying to wish on, yo, you know what I'm saying, Red? I'm just stacking my ones, my nigga. You know what I mean? I'm trying to take over. Take over what? Nigga, take over? Really? That's what you're doing? Okay. Once again, feeding your corpse to the machine as if you got time to waste. As if your freedom isn't the most precious thing alive. Mm-hmm. You're just throwing yourself to the fire. Taking penitentiary chances for Jordans, B? Okay. So nothing will happen until justice comes to our people. The only thing that will take place is what you see right now. It is the eroding of the system in this thing that you keep trying to hold up called America. That's what you're going to see. The burden is not our oppressors alone. Much of it is upon us. The time has come when we must speak or die. Our leaders, our so-called leaders, are choked by fear. Such a leader is not worth the salt that leavens his bread. How many of the lecturers, how many of all of these people who have come and take your resources and took your time and attention, how many of them in the last 2 or 3 years have been relentless on the front line against what's going on to our people? I'm talking about coming with solutions. Not just regurgitating what you already know, talking to your pain body and stuff like that. No. Fear is the root of their failure to tell you the truth. Now this truth must come out. You have misunderstood the Bible. Christianity is a white man's religion, and it contains no salvation for the black man. For this very reason, the prayers of your preachers to the government, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost have fallen on deaf ears. Now I ask you, what good is Christianity to you and me if that religion of the God of that religion will not defend us against lynching and rape? Indeed, we should be fools to believe and trust such a religion and such a God, knowing that he bestows all his blessings upon our enemy. What? Zeus, aka Jesus, aka every time you give them your life energy, right? They set up a consecrated image that they shed all kind of baby blood to, all kind of beheadings and burnings to. Then they set it up and made you give it your power. So you're living in what is known as double consciousness. There's a conflict going on within. And you talking about you want to go to war. Not realizing that the most precious war that you will ever fight will be against yourself. Maybe your African self, right? And your Negropean self. They're going to clash. We are taught to look forward to a salvation that does not exist. Can we be honest about that? Am I hurting anybody's feelings? I apologize. I'm going to be man enough to say, you know what? I didn't come here to intentionally hurt anybody's feelings. But it's not me. I didn't write this book. He did. And I'm not hurting your feelings. I'm just giving you the truth. And the truth hurts. You must go down into the earth and rot. That kind of salvation I don't want. I will not give you 2 cents for it. Any man that will not work hard all his life praying to God to take and give him a home beyond the grave is a fool. I am sorry if you think ill of me, but the truth is all I am going to speak. The black man in America is in a terrible condition. He is emasculated, blinded, confused, and wondering about at high noon on Judgment Day. If Judgment Day were not here, instead of some remote hour to come, I will not be bringing you this message at this hour. Elijah is here because the day of judgment is here. This was almost 100 years ago. When you stand up and speak a word on behalf of your own people, you are classified as a troublemaker. You are classified as a communist, as a race hater, and everything but good. How can you as a people ever be anything if you are going to crush out your leaders who try to seek justice for you, even at the cost of their own lives? And that's what our people do. You sacrifice your leaders. You know what I'm talking about? You on social media, they crush their leaders. And the whole world gets to see it. You sacrifice, you do the COINTELPRO job of somebody else while they sit back and just laugh. The lynchers, our daughters and wives are lynched before our eyes. The government will not put a stop to it. They will allow the lynchers to lynch you and me if we are charged with an attempt to rape one of them. The lynchers live right next door, down the street, up the alley, yet they are not brought to justice. All of this grief you and I must suffer, all of these burdens we must bear. It is beyond comprehension that the American government, mistress of the seas, lord of the air, conqueror of outer space, squire of the land, and prowler of the deep bottoms of the oceans, is unable to defend us from assault, rape, and murder on the streets of these concrete jungles. That's the prophet talking. What has changed? I could have wrote this yesterday. You understand? For whites across America, deaths of despair are rising. They're not telling you that they're checking out at record numbers. They're not putting you on to that. Why? Because like I keep saying, all is mental. This is a psyops. It's mental warfare. They got to keep you focused on Black Death. As long as you focus on Black Death, then you will reverse whatever is taking place, or you will help catch up to them that which they will not tell you. But they're not talking about this though. Every day that you wake up, you're not seeing this. Please, family, if you're going to inbox me something, inbox me some good news. I'm all too familiar with all of the negative stuff. You know what I mean? I get notifications already from Google. So we do a lot of spreading of negative energy, negative imagery, negative news. But we ain't about to spread all of the good stuff. So I gotta fly, like I said, I gotta get up to this lecture. Okay? COINTELPRO, all right, in full effect inside of what is known as the conscious community. Okay? Then make no mistake about it. Right? Let's read the intended effects of COINTELPRO. Created negative public images for targeted groups by surveilling activists and then releasing negative personal information to the public. How many times through your trips of consciousness did you have to endure people reading, putting their screenshots or emails and all of this other stuff going on inside of the confines of this community? Break down internal organizations by creating conflicts, by having agents exacerbate racial tensions or send anonymous letters to try to create conflicts. You know how many inboxes I used to get? Pulling down other teachers, trying to get me to join the group hatred? You know how many videos y'all give y'all time and energy to where it's nothing but another man tearing another man down or one person tearing a group down? Right. Create dissension between groups by spreading rumors that other groups were stealing money. Restrict access to public resources by pressuring nonprofit organizations to cut off funding or material support. You know how many people backed off from me and my brother, organizations and whatnot? Because we decided that we were not going to play anybody's games, and we're going to give you the unadulterated truth. Restrict the ability to organize protests through agents promoting violence against police during planning and at protests. You saw all of that play out with Black Lives Matter. Restrict the ability of individuals to participate in group activities by character assassinations, false arrests, and surveillance. So in a 2.0 digital time, you just have COINTELPRO 2.0. And like Griff pointed out, the FBI, COINTELPRO, black extremism, they're definitely on this. The murder rates in major U.S. cities. Somehow, coincidentally, the majority of the places where they had these black police killings are the murder capitals. Detroit, Chicago, Baltimore, right? Even all the way to St. Louis. Ferguson. The exact town. After the quote-unquote police killings, the murder rates increase. There's a whole bunch of people, Darren Sills, rest in peace. There's a whole bunch of people that began getting knocked off. They knocked off like 6 people dealing with the Mike Brown case already. Real talk. So what is it about the traumatization of when they kill one of us, then they suppress us when they bring the military in, and then when they pull out, why do we start killing each other in wholesale? Or, like Griff pointed out, why is there all of these unsolved murders? Because they tell you that we're killing each other, but I don't know. I don't know the person that's putting in the work. You don't know, personally. And Negroes do a lot of bragging. Real talk, like, you know. So I showed yesterday how this was the real life wire. Oh man, forget season 1 to 4. That's nothing. Yeah. Did you read these transcripts? That's the real wire. They made this look like Sesame Street. These police is out here killing people, killing drug dealers, killing the plug, and running off on them. These were some of the most crooked police officers that I've ever been encountered. So when you see murder capitals, right, like Chicago, right, like Detroit, like St. Louis, but then they had all of these investigations that showed you that the police departments were beyond crooked. These are the places where the KKK and the neo-Nazi and all of these other people have infiltrated. And then you see this take place where they were like, yo, we were kicking down, they were doing what they were doing in Training Day. Remember Training Day? Yep. When they were robbing, they knew all of the drug dealers, all of the willies, giving them passes, robbing drug stashes, robbing drug spots. That's everything right here. Okay? Now, we got into what is known as Afrofuturism. We're not just going to give you the negative stuff. We're also going to give you the positive stuff. Preparation for victory. So how are we going to prepare for victory? First of all, you got to prepare for victory by changing your image, changing your message, changing your overall narrative. Is Liar Cohen going to do it for you?
Is Harvey Weinstein control? Harvey Weinstein, take the wheel. No, I'm just saying because he was bankrolling the majority of black cinema. He's responsible for the Trayvon Martin movie documentary. He's responsible for the Khalid Browder. He was in bed with Jay-Z. They gave him 20 million for a 20 film deal. That's Harvey. So are we gonna leave it up to Harvey and them to tell our story? So you got a movie that reached $1 billion. This belongs to the genre of Afrofuturism, Afro-surrealism, and whatnot. I'm only saying that because now you have leverage. For the Octavia Butlers of the world, for all of you scriptwriters, for all of you videographers, for all of you artists, it's a renaissance. Where are you? What are you waiting for? Bro, it's a renaissance. And you got to put up points. Or, you know, you just leave it up to Jaden Smith and them to do it. So this was the archetype, Killmonger, the thug life, the savage. Because remember, he represents an archetype. It's not just a person, it's an archetype. He represents an archetype that you can see in everyday Negroes. He was misogynistic. He was angry, yes.
I'm sorry, I can't see what nigga represents. Can you?
Never ignorant, getting goals accomplished. Never ignorant, getting goals accomplished. Tupac's definition of nigga. Thug life. The hate you gave little infants F's everyone. What was he as an infant? The hate that they gave him F'd Wakanda. As an infant, he was abandoned, right? He got hate in the foster care system. He got hate by the U.S. government who used him as a murder tool, right? Because y'all be running around with all your white friends and whatnot trying to pull up. You know what I'm talking about? And I'm like, listen, when we pledge allegiance to their government or when we pledge allegiance to their side, they put a rifle in our hand, a handgun in our hand, and a badge and tell us to prove it. You don't do that with your European pals. You know what I'm talking about? You give them your PayPal or your Cash App handle, and that's it. That's their way in. Yo, pay my phone bill. I'm saying. Reparations. Afrofuturism, Afro-surrealism, this is the future. It's a whole bunch of movies. This is Afro-surrealism. This is not futurism. This is more about Afro-surrealism. Taking what's taken out, flipping it a little bit, keeping it within the parameters of surrealism, and then feeding it to them. In control of our narrative, right? This movie right here was the fulfillment of this movie right here. He didn't get to accomplish what he wanted. He wanted the world to pay for what they did to us. He made it happen. This is a black man right here. You know what I'm saying? This is the Avengers. Thanos, the Thanos snap. He killed half of the universe. Look at his whole squad. Ebony Mob, Proximity Midnight. All of them were, it's called a Black Order. That's his whole crew was called a Black Order. This dude is purple. And he got stones in his hand. Right? And he killed half of the universe, white and black. Because remember, what's the fate of a treason? It's not a color thing anymore. The people that are out here trying to destroy us have all colors.
What is justice?
Yep.
Yeah, what does justice look like? What are you prepared to see or live through? Yeah, I know. It's going to be kind of vacant at the water cooler. But Becky gotta go. When Thanos snaps his hands, he's gonna clean up a lot of stuff.
Yep.
So this is some of the salvation that Christians are looking for. Where's my Hebrew Israelites? Corinthians. This is what they're talking about. When the Christ comes back with the flaming sword.
Yeah.
So I don't know if people are ready for that. But I know that they're ready for it. Because they keep putting out all of this predictive programming. Purge. The election year. It fit perfectly into the Donald Trump scenario. It didn't really even work for the Hillary thing. But remember, they're two and one of the same.
Yeah.
As they showed you in the Purge. I think there was a scene where the quote-unquote opponents was chilling together watching black people die.
Fact.
And then the new one that just came out recently shows they showed the white supremacist groups, right? The mercenaries went into Staten Island projects and killed everything black.
Because when they try to make us purge each other, we just was partying. We was like, we ain't into all of that. We trying to twerk. Like, hold on. Put on that little baby. No, please. You know what I mean? So, this is Milo. He's an alt-writer. He is what, remember, this was the introduction to the alt-right in the first purge. Look how they dressed, the preppy ones. They wasn't rolling like that. This was the template for him, for the alt-right, for Richard Spencer and Milo. Milo says that journalists need to get killed, then journalists went ahead and started getting killed. Okay? So they're out here basically killing things, or, you know, speaking of people, you know, putting out hits. But they're hiding behind the media. Like he said, the media controlled media. That whole Alex Jones farce that he's the police. William Cooper told you that before they killed him. The author of Behold a Fair Horse. He's the police. They all work in you know, that the reason why they took all of his stuff down is so they could take all of your stuff down. He's just the patsy. Predictive programming, who controls the future, auto-suggestion, self-mastery through auto-suggestions. You could use it in a positive way, you could use it in a negative way. The power of the European, the power of the media is auto-suggestion. They just suggest you do shit, and you do it. They suggest your devilishment, right? Like they said that the quote-unquote Iblis or Shaitan, the agreement that he had to make with the Most High. Oh, I'm not going to pull them into the burning house. I'm going to just open up the door and welcome them in. If they come into the house, that's their ass. Like the mind that carries one ship east and another west. The law of auto-suggestion will lift you up or pull you down according to the way that you set your sails of thought. So everything that you're seeing and what you're feeding your brain, pain, changes people. When Black Death goes viral, it can trigger PTSD like trauma. The 12 steps of PTSD, post-traumatic slave disorder, acute anxiety, depression, resentment, anger, fear, anxiety, self-worth, dissipating, shame, guilt, confusion, pain, activating events. Show of hands, how many people have felt this in the last 4 years?
I'm sorry. Hey, it's real.
I'm going to say it again. Acute anxiety.
Keep hearing.
Oh, the world's coming to an end. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna get my hair done because they said that the world finna end this weekend. I'm so anxious.
Depression.
I don't want to go with this anymore. You know what? I'm handing back my conscious name. I'm going back to being a Negro. Give me my birth certificate back, Morris.
You know, people always venting on social media and all of this stuff. There's some teachers that I've grown up with that are complete manic depressives, and it's sad, melting down in front of the world. Straight meltdowns, throwing away all of the work that they've ever done, revealing themselves to be completely sick. Right? Resentment. Everybody's resenting each other. Anger. All these Negroes are angry now. All of this fake Negro outrage. Black man will ice grill you like you stole something from him, when he really want to look at his boss with a mean face. Fear. I don't even got to get into that part. Self-worth dissipating. What's going on social media with black women? Young black women. Shoot, what's going on with these young boys? Self-worth dissipating. If you could ridicule your great-grandmama and your grandma and your mother by coming outside sometimes looking the way that you do, brother and sister, well, goddamn it, there's issues with your self-worth. Right? If every night you go live at 2:10 a.m. and ask me to swipe up and purchase something on Instagram, then there's something going on. You on Instagram twerking a little baby at 2 a.m. What is that about? You're showing the world your goods? Just so they can hit your Cash App? To do what? Buy sex from you later on that day? Come on, fam. This is what we got. This is where we going. This is where we've arrived at in the middle of a war. Do you have anybody seen the movie about the French Revolution, right? The Battle for Algiers?
Nope.
In the Battle of Algiers, they laid out what they'll do to the pimp and the prostitute in the midst of wars, because those people can't be trusted because they have a price. They're for sale. So how you gonna be for sale and I'm at war and I gotta get rid of all of the treasonous traders around me? You go first. So by eroding the moral fabrics of our people through media, Jewish control, Small Hat, Liar Cohen control, Seagram's and Universal control, Sony control, and all of these other culprits, they've diminished because they control San Fernando Valley as well. You know what that is? That's the pornography industry. That's the same industry that they try to start up in Germany, and they ran them out of there. That's the same kind of industry that they try to start up in every single country that they were in, and they got ran up out of there. Because high civilization doesn't deal with that. Because anybody of any kind of moral fabric, any kind of high civilization knows the way that you erode a high civilization is that you begin to introduce sexual misconduct, sexual deviancy, meaning that you don't have self-mastery. And if you don't have self-mastery, you can't win the war. Bottom line, the economic war, the mental war, the spiritual war, the physical war, any single war that they throw at you, what the hell is a good soldier? Somebody who's disciplined.
Oh man.
That's why they focus. Man, I was in boot camp making 45-degree angles on my bed, squaring corners. I was so programmed that when I came home to get a haircut, I squared my corners into the barbershop.
That's right. That's right.
They had jokes like, look at the robot.
Oh man.
That's right.
But they hammered the discipline. They hammered all of this stuff into me. So if we're not disciplined, we cannot talk about victory. That's a conversation. If you cannot control, if you cannot put a sword over your lower self, you're not ready for this. That's how they rocking you to sleep. You out here spilling your seed, exterminating your light, making yourself weak. And they running around jogging through the hood looking at you like something sweet. Real talk. The egregor, the power of groupthink. Right? I want to get into this, but like I said, I got to breeze through stuff. This is a thought form. This is a collective thought form. This is the energy that you feel when you walk into a Catholic church or a Roman Catholic church. This is the energy that you feel when you walk into this room, because there's a group think that's being formed right now because the collective is on one frequency. We're vibrating on a similar frequency, so we're creating what is known as a thought form. That thought form, when you enter into that thought form can begin to regulate you. The same way that when you sign up for corporate America, you got to read the manual of whatever corporate entity that you're walking into. And what takes place? Corporate culture takes over. And after a while, corporate culture takes over, you become a corporate robot, a corporate clone. Huh? Sorry to bother you? How many people saw that? With the white voice, you know? No, you gotta watch that. Sorry to bother you. That's a good movie. Yeah, they break it down. So, there's an egregor consciousness, right? But there's multiple mind states in consciousness, but there's this hate energy inside of consciousness. You know what I'm saying? There's this energy that will make you lose all of your money and your resources and make your health bad because the frequency is very low. It's not dealing with self. It's making you become a victim and blame everybody else outside of self. That's not growth. That's not development. That's not enlightenment. You got to start looking within. You got to disconnect and take your brain back. You got to take your hearts back from some of these stations, some of these platforms, some of these teachers, some of these quote-unquote so-called scholars, some of these entertainers. You know what I'm saying? Some of these twerkers on Instagram that some of you follow religiously. I'm just saying. There's all of these influencers that are being put in front of us, that are being hoisted upon us, that people are telling us this is the standard at which you're supposed to look at yourself or measure yourself by. Why? Because World Star and Vlad TV told you that they was hot? Because DJ Academic stamped them? Get your brain back, bro. Get your brain back. You're allowing teenagers to steer your life. You're listening to little 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds inside of the music industry, and you 80. I'm dead ass. And you 80 with the Tekashi wig. How many grandmothers and the great-grandmothers with the Tekashi wig on that you've seen? The rainbow colors and, come on, ma. What's happening? So now you're a Barbie? Huh? You Grandma Barbie?
Grandma got life too.
Huh?
Grandma got life too.
That's right. Follow Grady on Instagram. Chaos Magic, Aleister Crowley, Blavatsky, you know what I mean? What are known as spirit cookers, you know, occultists, who basically infiltrated and influenced the entertainment industries, utilizing chaos magic, utilizing the summoning of quote-unquote egregores, or the summoning of entities. Whenever you form an LLC, what do they call it?
Limited liability company.
It's an entity. It's an entity. So all of these entities that they have, these sister companies, these labels, they always come at you through an entity, not through even their names. Even them are entities. How many Jewish names are in Hollywood on the actor side?
85%.
You don't see Adam Roethlisberger. You know what I mean? You don't see Mary Weinstein as an actress. They change their names and make entities out of those characters. Those characters are LLCs amongst themselves. So they're not even held liable for all of the death and destruction or the negative or all the suggestions, whatever they represent. They're not even responsible for that. You can't even hold them accountable. They're like, yo, that's just an entity. Predictive programming, when movies predict real events, right? But there's predictive programming in hip-hop. There's predictive programming in your religions. There's predictive programming in them new goddamn Geico commercials. You know, don't just talk about The Simpsons, but we could talk about The Simpsons real quick. The most well-known examples of predictive programming come from The Simpsons. You heard right. The YouTube channel All Time Conspiracies recently created a video highlighting a few of these alleged predictions. The most haunting one, of course, involves Lisa Simpson holding up a brochure which reads New York, $9 in the episode The City of New York versus Homer Simpson. The two World Trade Centers in the background of the brochure clearly make it look like it reads $11, 9/11. The episode aired on September 21st, 1997. All right? These are dog whistles. Dog whistles are basically how they talk to each other. You got to look out for that. Right? Dog whistle politics. The Purge. Look. This is the Purge movie, Election Day. This is Candace Owens, who goes by the name of Red Pill Black. Remember I showed you that group earlier, Red Pill? Yeah. She's a part of that group, and she's a black woman, so she's Red Pill Black. But look at this startling, look at that. That's almost like a doppelganger. That's a dead ringer. And she represents the same thing that she represents in a Purge. Killing off black men, killing off our people, siding with the quote-unquote ops. All right? The top U.S., you know, everybody, all of these mass shooters, all right? The enemy decoded, the psychosis. Remember, the American psycho, right? And don't make it a black thing. And don't make it a black thing. Oh, you know what I'm saying, you know. No! Oh, why would they kill their own? What? World War II, World War I, 100-year war, the Civil War. Like, what are you talking about? Stop watching Nickelodeon. You got this Disney mentality of the world, this Walt Disney rendition of what the world is. No, they kill everything moving. Everyone's expendable. They just began calling the Irish and the Italian and others white. They don't even see them as their brothers. These are tools. the white privilege of the lone wolf shooter. They're calling them lone wolves. These are cells. They all work together. Look, this is their predictive programming. This is the White Walkers in Game of Thrones. Zombies. These are the zombies in Fear of a Walking Dead, All Out War. All right? These are the White Walkers. The winter is coming. Okay? They're talking about their own people. These are the dope fiends. You understand? This is the opium epidemic. This is Negroes with their pants sagging down. They filmed this in Georgia. All of this is predictive programming. All of this is to prepare themselves for this purge. Why we have forgotten the worst school attack in U.S. history, right? On May 18th, 1927, a man by the name of Andrew Kehoe blew up the school in Bath Township, Michigan. Most of the 44 killed were children. It remains the deadliest attack on a school in U.S. history. It also regularly left out accounts of terrorism in America. All right? So don't talk about the purge that's coming. They've been purging.
Yeah.
Don't let them point no fingers at you, talking about you savage in the hood and all of this crazy stuff. No.
Facts.
You're a product of white American, westernized, Greco-Roman culture. Judeo-Christian, Greco-Roman, Masonic, European, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant culture. And it's all drenched in blood. And it's all dealing with taking and subjugating what is known as the Blackamoors, the Moors, the West Africans, you name it, the Muslims with an O. You can come up with whatever name you want to come up with. It doesn't negate the fact that they're carrying out a mission that was handed down to them by their popes. This is a papal edict. Why nobody want to talk about the church and the crown? This is a papal edict that nobody has never questioned. With all of the preachers in front of you, nobody brought that up. How you a preacher and you don't talk about the papal edicts? Meaning that the Pope gave them permission to not just convert you.
Dumb diverses.
Dumb diverses, but to destroy and pillage and plunder and rape in the name of the cross and the crown. Look, did you know about the lost history of the only American coup d'etat? Wilmington, North Carolina. 400 people got killed. A mob of 400 Europeans burnt down Wilmington in 1898. As a result of that coup, they captured what you know as the South. What do you mean, Red Pill? We were slaves. Said who? In 1898, we were running Wilmington, North Carolina. This ain't Black Wall Street. This is Wilmington. For something like Wilmington in 1898, it's hard to describe the level of indoctrination. In the 1910s, 20s, 30s, 40s, they bragged about the coup. After that, they backed off, but it stayed in the history books, and they talked about it as an unfortunate but necessary event. In fact, part of how historians have pieced together the real story of the Wilmington Massacre is by looking back at newspaper archives from towns all across North Carolina, not just Wilmington, where similar violence was coordinated that day. They burned down black newspapers all over the state. They shut down entry to the city from blacks and Republicans. It's important not to forget that this was a planned thing. This wasn't two people getting in a fight in a street corner sparking underlying racial tensions or something like that. They originally called the 1898 incident the Wilmington Race Riot, with the implication that the event was instigated by a riot from blacks and quelled by Welders fighters. Come on, man. They destroyed the newspapers and they took over all of the magistrates and they created what is known as the Solid South. How many people ever heard of the Solid South?
Never heard of it.
And when they had the Republicans, that's when we had Black Republicans. How many of you know the song Black Republicans, Nas and Jay-Z? Oh, we weren't no Republicans. Don't say that, brother. Man, shut your mouth. You don't even know your history. The Democrats was against us. The Republicans who represented the Republic got damn it, they were black. And when we were Republicans, we really had power. Land, resources, go and pull out your list of black inventors. Yeah, that was underneath black Republicans. It was underneath the Democrats that you went to sleep. And you've been scaling backwards ever since. Facts. Just to call yourself a Democrat in it of itself, it's almost as if they flipped Nazi and then you got quote unquote Jews calling themselves Nazis. Right-wing extremists are a bigger threat to America than ISIS. They write about it, they say it, but you don't enforce it. Black police officials, you're not even doing, you're not even taking it up in your own hands. You're not even deputizing yourselves. What happened to citizens' arrest? I be on a highway, you never pulled over in one of them little rest stops and just ran up on a redneck and wanted to arrest him? Just run his prints and his DNA, something to pop up. Huh? You don't take it upon yourself to just deputize yourself? Huh? You don't go in the booth and throw your cape on and hop out? Officer Clark? Because like Griff said, they try to give us that excuse about, oh, I'm just doing my job, bro. You know, well, you're an officer. Why don't you take the law in your own hands? I be watching Equalizer and all of that other stuff. You don't watch movies, you don't got Netflix? Huh? You can't be like Denzel or one of them? The alt-right has killed and injured at least 100 people. It started with this guy in Santa Barbara. He was an Asian white dude. He murdered 8 students, and because he said that the women didn't want him. Right? A fragilicist, a white fragilicist. Breitbart, Daily Stormer, these are all of these groups. They've identified all of these hate groups, the Southern Poverty Law Center, right? They counted over 100 people who were killed or injured by alleged perpetrators, right? So we're coming up in a culture. We're raising up a culture that is a hypocritical culture. Because while y'all talk about violence and the gun violence and all of this other stuff about white people going crazy, how is it that Fortnite already made $1 billion from in-game purchases? The game is free. The game is free. How is it that Grand Theft Auto made more money than Entertainment Title ever? Did you know that?
Nope.
That they made more money than any movie, any music album, more than Thriller, more than the Beatles, more than the Titanic, more than the Avengers. One video game made more money than all of them ever. It hit $1 billion in 3 days. It's made more money than any entertainment title ever. Its closest competitor doesn't even come close. So what you talking to me about? Your children is being programmed.
That's crazy.
Your children are being desensitized, dehumanized. These people that are doing school shootings are only enacting what they're doing online. Stop playing. Stop diverting it. They don't want no peace. These little niggas want smoke. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. You can't, oh, Hotep, young Heru, babe, X. We're gonna read the 42 negative confessions. Okay, right after Fortnite, I'm finna kill a whole city. You know what I mean? Because that's what they're doing. The same kind of mass that you see in The Purge, Fortnite. They mobbing together, right? So these are some of the other games that they're online in the hundreds of thousands, in the millions. Fortnite did, when Drake was on there, they broke a record and did $1 million on the stream. So you got Grand Theft Auto, you can hop out, beat up prostitutes, throw women in the trunk, shoot people, rob people, all of the, remember the new hottest thing in the hood is carjacking. When I was in Detroit, they called thrill kills. They pop Xannies and whatnot, and then they go out and they thrill kill all night. And some of them was waking up in jail with charges. They didn't even know that they was catching bodies because of the drugs. They defocalized and go on thrill kills. Those thrill kills come from Grand Theft Auto, man. Stop playing with me. So you got something called Call of Duty Black Ops. Well, who black? And who the op? You the op.
I know.
They had a case
this whole thing that we going on, this war that we in, yeah, called the Trayvon Martin case. I call it the Trayvon Martin Factor. We have a show, 3 shows on Blog Talk Radio. You can find it on Google if you just put Trayvon Martin Factor in, 1, 2, and 3. We explained that this was one of the most grandest rituals that you'll ever see in your lifetime. It was a 2012 February grand ritual. It took place in Orlando at the Orlando Magic game halftime, the All-Star halftime at the Orlando Magic Arena inside of Orlando Disney World. Sanford is right down the block. They killed them in halftime when all of those black people were gathered in the same area with all of that black melanin, all of that black girl magic, throwing all of that money around and whatnot. They killed this young man. And the most thing that they always talked about was the black hood. But there goes the sweatshirt, and there goes the hood, right? But are they talking about the black hoodie, or are they talking about the black hood? Or are they talking about the black hoodlum? Because he was dead. And you all witnessed them put him on trial. Zimmerman wasn't on trial. They didn't even really pay attention to him. They were putting his character of Trayvon Martin on trial. They were putting the black hood on trial. He was already dead, so you can't put a dead man on trial. Right. He wasn't being charged with anything. The black hood was on trial. The black hoodlum, the archetype that young man represented, because everybody was saying, oh, that could be my brother. The president said that could be my son. So by doing that, because we're all connected, they internalized him to be all of us. And then we got put on trial, and we've been getting murked ever since. Now, this dude is still walking around. He told Jay-Z that we'll feed you to the crocodiles, right? Like we used to do back in the days. But look at this. George Zimmerman threatens Jay-Z over the Trayvon Martin film. He's the producer of the Trayvon Martin documentary. George Zimmerman told Jay-Z, we'll feed you to the alligators. George Zimmerman said that to the private investigator and got his ass charged with a crime. You see the difference? Who is this man? You gave a terroristic threat to HOV, to Hova. You ain't get arrested for that. But the minute you said it to the private investigator, your ass got a charge. Who is this dude? Why is he still alive? Yeah. He don't even look like the same person in all of these pictures. Look at his whiz. These are demons. Look at her face. She looked like she from Hostel or Saw 3. Somebody like, you know what I mean? These are some crazy ass alligator-eating, alligator wrestlers out of Florida. They Kodak Black and these niggas keep driving by and won't catch them lacking in traffic. Now I'm dead serious. Because we have to endure all of this black on black murder coming out of Florida. They killed XXXTentacion. But this guy right here he's been arrested 6 times. He sold his gun for 25 racks, 250 racks. He made this thing a business. He is a folk hero on the other side. Okay? He's an eyesore. The longer that he's on this planet is the weaker you become. Because they tied the ritual into him. But what happens when we rise up? We got military guns in our face. We got tanks and all of this stuff. But this is how it's affecting us. When it goes viral, it triggers PTSD. The police killings is affecting our mental health. Racism, stress, and Black Death. We're in the era of Black Death. The same way that they had a scourge called Black Death. Not to say that more of us are dying than we were dying before, but it's highlighted now. It's a psyop. Right? Quantum mechanics. You got to study quantum mechanics. They go deep with this thing. What you pay attention to is what you give life to. Right? 6 things that everybody should know about quantum physics. Energy. Attention goes where energy flows. So the more you put, remember, everybody was invested in the Trayvon case. Then everybody was invested in Mike Brown. Then everybody was invested in Sandra Bland. Then everybody was invested in Freddie Gray. You put your heart, you put your mind, you put your soul, you put your energy into it, and they just give them acquittal after acquittal after acquittal after acquittal after acquittal, and niggas are becoming crazier and crazier and crazier and madder and angrier and more anxiety, PTSD, people dying of stress, all of that stuff.
All under the blood moon.
all under the blood moon, like Blue Pill had pointed out in one of his monumental lectures. They ritualized all of this under a cycle of blood moons that have been taking place over the last 5 or 6 years. You can't, you can sleep if you want on these people. How to stand out in the attention economy. We're in the attention economy. Your attention will be sold. It's all about paying, like Lyar Cohen said, we'll make you pay with your eyeballs. You don't got money? Cool. We done rigged the internet to where you pay with your eyeballs. You watch our videos, we get billions of dollars a day. But we also put you under control now because we can read the metrics. We know who's watching and when time they're watching and where they're watching. So all of the subliminal suggestion, all of the auto suggestion, all of the trauma, all of the pain, all of the stuff is being fed because you eat with your eyes and your ears and your mouth. So your diet is not just GMO. It's black death. It's black despair. You understand? It's self-hatred. It's all of these things to defeat you. And yet, here you are. With all of that, here you are today. So that means that you have a level of resilience. You know the song with Little Baby? He says, Cartier glasses. Sing along. I won't even peep at you. Yellow Ferrari like Pikachu. But that's an ill bar. Because he's saying that I won't even look at you. I will not give you the attention that you so much deserve from me. Oh, white people is acting crazy? I'm not even looking at them. I don't even look at them. Real talk. I don't look down. I look over them. I don't look at them for what? I look through them. He said, don't pay attention to him. But just coincidentally that he brought that up, the owner of Cartier, he was like, well, goddamn it, one of my greatest fears is the poor rising up and overthrowing the rich. It keeps him awake at night. So what do you think Mr. Cartier is doing with that Cartier money? He said one of his greatest fears is waking up, right? The multi-billionaire owner of luxury jewelry company Cartier has revealed his greatest fear. Robots replacing workers and the poor rising up to bring down the rich. Right? He said he doesn't bear in mind that when the poor rise up, the middle classes won't want to buy luxury goods for fear of exposing their wealth. These are Bartier Barties on my face, so don't judge me. Bartier Barties. We don't wear Cartiers over here. You know what I'm talking about? My shit made in Africa. By the Chinese. You know what I mean? So we feed in all kind of regions at once. But they gave you all of that flack for protesting, right? But here you go, a whole group of billionaires, right? Collectively, they're billionaires. The NFL. Individually, they're the most collection of millionaires, black men with millionaire status on the planet. There's no other deeper collection of not even hip hop has more millionaires than the NFL has, and they don't even have the right to kneel. You understand? But they didn't have the right to kneel, but these people had the right to march on DC last week. I brought this up yesterday. 2 police officers died last year, along with Heather Hunter, or whatever her name was. I forgot her name. H.H., right? But H.H., yeah. No, I'm sorry. Let me go back and say her name. It wasn't Heather Hunter, I'm sorry. But that's H.H., right? Look. Bloody street brawls broke out between dozens of anti-racism activists and far-right attendees. One woman was killed when a driver plowed a sports car into a crowd of protesters. He was arrested and charged with murder and other crimes. 2 troopers died when a Virginia State Police helicopter crashed near the city after monitoring the chaos. Why didn't they talk about that? Why didn't they harp on that the way that they harped on H.H., the lady who got killed? How could you get a renewal of a license to have a protest a year later after police died? That's impossible. Black Lives Matter could never march in Dallas after those police died at their rally on 7/7/2017 at the hands of who they said was Mika Johnson. They could never be renewed for a license because a life of police got taken at their rally. So you mean to tell me they gave them police escorts? Do you know the European who got charged with murder got a police escort to the thing last week? Unite the Right rally cost DC $2.6 million. How many homeless people are in DC? How many people are without schools in DC? How many people without housing? They had to pay $2.6 million for these people to come and tell you how they feel about you.
You got 10 million surplus already.
White nationalists dwarfed by crowds of counter-protesters. To me, they both. Baba was there. Baba was talking to the Antifa. I told Baba, be careful with them, because they all work together. You know what I'm saying? But if it's honorable if you have a buffer, meaning that white people clean up your own people. Because we're going to work on our own people. We don't need none of your help. We closing the doors and locking the windows, and we're going to deal with us. If you say that you want to be down with us, right? If you want to Millie rock with us, you know what I'm saying? If you want to drink from the culture, police your own. Because I have yet to see any one of them take up arms against their own the way that we take up arms against our own at the behest of them. How much work did they really ever put in on their own? It always seems, peace always seems to take over the minute it's about to get super funky. Like, they'll do a little bit of wrestling with each other, jumping off of, you know what I mean? They'll clothesline each other off of cars at protests. They do that shit in their backyards, right? Like, watching Kimbo slicing everybody in the WWE. So, I'm not convinced. They're not riding for us. They're not putting in no work. But if you want to act like that, go over there. Because all this does is bring a lot of police attention, and when you show up, they're going to be taking pictures of your face. The Oath Keepers, these are all of their, if you saw Purge, the new Purge, these are all of the people that they're going to activate when they need their mercenaries. If there's ever World War III, and it's declared, and you live in America, and you one of these frontline people, you better get your Second Amendment up and be very on point. Because that's when they're going to come and try to make moves on people. They got the Oath Keepers. Trump pardoned the ranchers whose case sparked the Bundy takeover of an Orient. Look, they got articles talking about they got white sovereigns who are ready to take over the American government. Yet and still, these people have gotten pardoned by President Trump. These are the suspects right here. This was the Bundy takeover. They took over. They were going to war with the federal government. They didn't send no tanks. They didn't send no helicopters. They didn't send no drones. They did not bother these people. And then they got them acquitted.
Swept it under the rug, too.
They swept it under the rug and they acquitted them. So that's who Trump is going to get. They tried to get one of our brothers. He beat the case. Griff talked about it. I got 5 minutes. Griff talked about it. This was the first black identity extremist. He gave him the case back. He beat the case. He's out of Dallas. Is the FBI setting the stage for increased surveillance? Yes. You know what I'm saying? 2.0, COINTELPRO 2.0. Coin, the new COINTEL, Bitcoins, cryptocurrency, the bag. They buying you Negroes out, game for pay, and all of this other stuff. Telecommunications. There is no more agents. You telling on yourself with your phone. Your smartphone is the new agent 8.0. They don't need no payroll. They got Amazon, they got Android on their side. They got Apple on their side. GoPro, surveillance, predator drones. We are being watched. All of our moves. We're being followed. We're being surveilled. Okay? Yes. They're creating dossiers on the people who are out here visibly, basically, our faces around the world. Can I sleep at night? Yes. I don't give a damn. I don't care. Because they know anything that they do to any one of us is only going to make us more powerful. You could immortalize me right now. I'm good. But that's the new COINTELPRO. That's how they're infiltrating. That's how they're building up their cases. Remember, there's more people in jail for conspiracy than anything. So don't let nobody ever call you a conspiracy theorist. Agent provocateurs. Have you met them? Do you know one? Huh? Have you heard rumors of any? Let's read what the definition is. An agent provocateur is a person who commits or who acts to entice another person to commit an illegal or rash act or falsely implicate them in partaking in an illegal act. An agent provocateur may be acting out of their own sense of duty or may be employed by the police or other entities to discredit or harm another group by provoking them to commit a crime, thereby undermining the protest or the demonstration as a whole. So most of these YouTube channels are agent provocateurs. Most of these trolls that are out here that'll make me get online and go crazy, not me per se, I'm just saying, they make other people, they provoke other people to incriminate themselves. Oh, they'll talk about your daughter, your baby, your mama. Then you hop online like, what? When I see you, I'm gonna knock you out. Put yourself in the trap. You're falling into the oldest trick in the book that they've been playing. They done took down people more powerful than us in the 60s, who were more organized than us. You understand? Who was built, who was made for this. They took them down. So you think that water rolls off of your back? So this is what we're dealing with in the community, non-stop. Remember, they said that you could be working for yourself, or you could be working for the man. And because the conscious community has been turned into the competition community or the WWE, individuals are not comfortable with seeing other individuals win. It's not a community. It can't be a community if somebody is pulling me down and won't allow me to shine because my shining will threaten their dullness. You can't be in a community like that. Not where I come from, we take the garbage out. So it's not a community, it's a competition. And social media has fed into this. You know, the fact that you got followers, the fact that everybody's not built to have followers. Every brother's not built to stand up here and have women and other men saying, oh, peace, God. Do you know that gets to certain people's brains? You have to be groomed for this. You have to be prepared for this. You can't be enticed by what is known as fame. And that's all we seeing. Ego. False delusions of grandeur. Fame chasing. Clout chasing. Stop feeding into it. Stop. It's going to always happen. You got to be responsible. And stop being a participant in, you know, the new form of Ratchet Mondays. This consciousness, ratchet every day. So, I'm about to wrap it up. Alright, I want to end it on a good note. Retailers must wake up to the woke Generation Z. So they're blanketing the whole generation now and calling Generation Z the woke generation. They want to eat good. They want health products, health and wellness, da-da-da-da-da. These are the fathers of that movement. These are the fathers of that quote-unquote woke generation now. These are the quote-unquote new thought leaders of the woke. But would you even think that? Could you even fathom that 10 years ago? That the face of the woke movement on the artist side would be P. Diddy and Jay-Z? Did we not? Did something not happen in 2012? Are we not in the bizarro world? Talk to me. Either right after the day that Obama got elected or something in 2012, but you know, they flipped the books on us because these are two woke MCs now. Look at him, unapologetically black. The same thing that's on my brother's hat. He says, I pray I can be a part of showing my people the way to this goal. Stay tuned. Our goal should be economic independence. Then we won't need to worry about what anybody says. The world's most famous lap dancer said that. Okay? The world's most accomplished male escort to the small hats. He sold the culture. He sold the culture. Jay-Z was sitting on Lyon's lap. Harvey Weinstein's lap. They got blood on their hands. This is Mr. All About the Benjamins, right? That helped take down the values, take down the morals, take down everything, and everything became about the Benjamins. He birthed that, right? He was popping before Jay-Z was popping. He brought Biggie on the scene. And when Big died, Jay came and he finished it off. All materialism over everything. Now they trying to balance the scales and try to get their souls back. This Negro said that he prays that he's on the top of the Forbes list. He says that he prays that he wakes up. And the goal is, Negro, you can make the goal accomplished. Every Monday you could say, I'm giving $100,000 to a black girl magic. I'm giving 100 racks to black businesses. You could Shark Tank this shit from Twitter. You don't need no setup nowhere. You don't need Khaled with you. You don't need the 4. You can do it from Twitter. So when they talked about, look, coke dealer, take that. Take that. Coke dealer. Take that. Cross-dresser, coke dealer. I'm just saying, and I'm not judging. Right? But what I'm saying is, coke dealer, trap king. And we love our brothers, coke dealer, trap king. Right? Our people are following the tune of a Pied Piper. They're following the marching orders for some flutes that are being blown, because there is no Migos without Jay-Z. This is a progression. He's the father of trap. There is no Gucci without T.I. There is no Migos. There is no Zone 6. There is no 21 Savage without T.I. We're talking about heads of the snake. Right? But these brothers are woke. That's what they said. I haven't sat with near one of them. Right? So we gotta have conversations with these brothers, because at least they're trying to turn a leaf. That's what they say. T.I. came out with like a conscious mixtape. At least they're trying to balance the scales. It's about my eye. So if I can stand in front of you, I'm no angel. You know what I mean? I have a checkered past. So if I can be accepted, then maybe they can. But if they want to help, if they want to get this thing going, they need to come to where the information is real at. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. Y'all need to come and sit down and get some of these instructions that were laid out by the ancestors and the great ones who just left here. All of the doctors, the Dr. Blairs, the Dr. Sabies, the Dr. Francis Fresh Wilson. You understand? The Dr. Benz. So don't hit us with this empty ass woke shit. Give us some sustenance. Start funding these businesses. Start changing these food deserts into, into green havens. Oases, because this is what they're responsible for. New research proves that all things being equal, nothing is equal for black boys. So why y'all still giving us poverty lyrics, poverty-minded consciousness, all of this hood rhetoric, when they're telling you blacks and Latinos will be broke in a few decades? It's more brothers in jail than it was in the 90s. It's more broken families than it was when crack hit. You understand? It's more people on the run that don't own nothing, that are basically in refugee status. New York City, they done kicked out mad, quote-unquote, big willies, money makers, shot callers. Them niggas is on the run like they Somalians. Okay? They're refugees. They don't know where to live. The landlords have pushed them out. That gentrification is real. So, y'all not talking no real power. And I'm going to end it on this. The future is African, and the United States is not prepared. Okay? So all of my Pan-Africanists in the building, shout out to Irritated Genie, who actually goes over there and makes the trips. You know what I'm saying? Give it up to people who are not just talking about Africa, romanticizing and fantasizing. People who actually get a ticket and just go there. You know what I'm talking about? That's what we need to be doing. Like Blue Pill said, we have available land, resources. The world is ours. We could open up trade lines in Africa. We could open up young, small villages if need be, small towns. Make a center for our ancestors that are here that may transition. Make a mausoleum for them. Whatever it takes. Make a center for black consciousness on the continent. To wake them up from the spells that they're under, colonialism and religion and whatnot. So, All of that I said today is to say to you that hopefully I succeeded in doing a little bit of decoding to the people that you're dealing with, in the mentality, in the spirit of who you're dealing with. On this weekend, like they said, where we're venerating the Queen of Soul. We the ones that got the soul. We the soul people. We have soul power. We need to get back in touch with our souls. We need to get back in touch with that which makes us different and that which makes us the supreme, or that which makes us the genetic superior. It was your soul. It was the soul music. Remember the love that you felt when you listened to the best of Aretha? The best of Sam Cooke? The best of gospel? You understand? Soul. Something that the Sam Cookes of the world can't duplicate. The Adeles of the world. Maybe Tina Marie, she gets a pass. We're working on that DNA. Trying to work. Huh? Sam Smith. Oh, no, Sam Cooke is a legend. Sam Smith is a clone. So get back to your superpowers. We live in an economic, I'll be happy to come back and do a three-hour lecture on all the results that are available, the Facts Initiative. We belong to a group called the Paradigm Shifters. A brother by the name of 19 Keys, Derek Grace, Rizza Islam, Brother Ben X, Pop Darby, and another brother named Billionaire Pop. We're traveling the world, waking people up. We want 30,000 members at a $20 membership on a monthly basis, so we can have a $600,000 pot, okay? Not just a pot, resources. A treasury outside of a 501c3 or outside of a nonprofit or outside of somebody cutting us a check when they feel like it. No, the power is in the people. You in this audience are the most talented people that you know. You have gifts, you have talents, you have a contribution that we need inside of this movement. This movement is on a rise. This movement is globally. This movement is galactic. I be getting signals from Saturn every Saturday saying keep up the good work. People are watching. Blue will tell you. There's light, sentient light beings out there. Our ancestors are on higher planes, moving things for us, clearing things for us in the universe. The vast universe is conspiring for our success. And with that being said, thank you for your attention. Thank you for your time. We have products. We have clothing, we have herbs, we got jewelry, we got music and media. Holla at us before we leave. Love and light. Peace. We got the brother Red Pill, Blue Pill, and brother Professor Grip. Give him a big round of applause to all these brothers. Brothers and sisters, we're going to close out correctly, but we're going to bring up Sister Alkamar. She want to make an announcement about everlasting life, some different things that's going on here, and then we're going to close out, and then you can come support the vendors. How many people been here to everlasting life before? Raise your hand. Half of the crowd, okay. So she's going to tell you some things about it.
Yes. Real briefly, greetings family. I'm Alkamar. I am one of the events coordinators here at Everlasting Life. I hope you guys learned something. I know I learned a whole lot of something today. So glad to see you here. If this is your first time, please come back. Don't be a stranger. I call this place a culture hub. So we do a whole lot of things here. For instance, every third Saturday of the month we do a marketplace. Actually, we do 2 a month. Every first Saturday, the Black Wall Street Renaissance. That's the one I host. From 12 to 6 p.m. you can come, you can shop. This whole room is filled with vendors. We open up the stage for different performers. So this coming first Saturday, we're having a local artist, a sister. We try to raise awareness around all our local artistry. So she's going to be coming and performing for us, Miss Aya. The third Saturday, we do a health marketplace. So again, you can come shop with vendors. Fresh food, produce, natural supplements, things of the nature. That takes place from 11 to 4 p.m. every third Saturday of the month. What else we got? Oh, every Friday, we do dinner and a movie. So this whole room, we dim the lights. We have the screen here. We air different documentaries and movies. Everything is centered towards us. A lot of things that you don't readily hear about outside of these walls, mainstream not going to tell you about. But we get into them with, on our Friday dinner and the movie nights. That's always free. And we have a discussion that immediately follows. That's from 7 to 9 p.m. Right behind you, it's the eLife Studios, a full-fledged studio, audio and visual. We go live. As you see, we've been live streaming here. You can find us online, eLife Studios. We do have packages, so if you have a voice that you want to get out to more people, consider coming and joining us at the eLife Studios family. And I have some information in the back. Actually, Dr. Baruch just pulled up, so he's here and he can share more information about that with you as well. Let's see what else real quick. Children's night. Each and every Thursday, children eat free, 12 and under. As long as they're here with a paying adult, they eat free from 6 to 8 p.m. Not only do they eat free, but they come, it becomes a big game room for the children. We have different arts and crafts and activities, and it switches up every week. So bring the children out for a healthy, free meal, and then they get to link up with other children their age, and they always have a good time. Hanifa and I have a sister, Hanifa, we do a radio program every Wednesday called the Empower Hour. We go live from 2 to 3 p.m. Briefly, all we do is we tackle tough topics that affect our everyday life. I like to say the topics that most people run away from, they don't want to talk about, they want to brush under the rug. Well, Hanifa and I dig right into them and we hash them out and we bring in special guests. Love to get some of these brothers here on our program. So check us out online under the Empower Hour Talk Show. And I think Dr. Boone, I'm going to turn it over. Oh yeah, and if you guys want to get on our database, we do a text reminder. Whenever we're doing special events such as this, we'll send you out a reminder text just to let you know who's coming, send you a flyer, things of that nature. So we have a sign-up sheet in the back if you want to get in. All we need is a name and a phone number. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Give it up to the system. And one more person without further ado, the owner of this great establishment, Dr. Baruch. Give him a big round of applause. Also, while we hear from him, we do have an email list for Reality Speaks that we actually have, and we're going to share that with Dr. Baruch and the Pills and Brother Griff. So if you can, I did send it around to some of you signed it. Please, Brother Ricardo is there at the table. Stop and sign that email list so we can stay in touch with you.
All right, thank you very much, family. Thank you, brothers. You know, great presentation. I'm sorry I couldn't be here. I was at the other restaurant doing that work on that side. But I greatly appreciate the work that Brother JABARI and Survivors are doing and connecting up with us and us working together as a team, because that's how we got to do this, y'all. We can't do this by ourselves. We have to come together as a community and begin to work to build ourselves back up. So I really appreciate us being able to, you know, connect up and do this and be successful at it and do it over and over and over again. And hopefully this will be something that you all will be able to benefit from every weekend here between here and Baltimore. Just a little bit about Everlasting Life. How many of you are here for the first time? All right, great. Appreciate you coming out. Please don't let it be your last time. We are a 23-year-old establishment. The whole purpose of our establishment was to provide a viable food source to communities disserved and underserved. And we're doing that. We have been doing that. We're going to continue to do that. And what we want you to understand, our philosophy is that we're not sick from disease. In our community, we're not sick from high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, cancer. And I'm sure Brother Griff and others have gone over this. But we're sick from nutritional deficiencies on purpose. Did y'all hear that? We're sick from nutritional deficiencies on purpose. And we have to now begin to take responsibility and take charge for our own health and begin to change our own personal reality, change our health outcomes. And how we're going to do that is we need to support ourselves by eating healthy all the time. When is eating unhealthy an option? When should it ever be an option? It should never be an option. So we should always be eating healthy, and you should support the businesses that support you. So support the Everlasting Lives and the other restaurants that are out here that are doing the kind of work to produce healthy food for our community so that we have a better choice. Because all the other crap that's being offered to us, Crackdonald's, Murder King, Taco Hell, wind disease, chokers, bow strangles, the International House of Pulmonary Heart Disease, all that crap, it's killing us. It's killing us, and what's worse is we're paying for them to kill us. So I ask you all, before you leave, give us some support. We close at 7 o'clock, so come on over, support. The vendors are going to be here all night, but you all go over there and support them so I can close down the kitchen. Again, I appreciate Brother Jabari. Thank you all very much. Stay tuned. We've got Brother T.J. Lofton. Brother T.J. Lofton is going to be coming. He's going to be talking about monetizing gentrification right here at Everlasting Life, and it's the second weekend in September, and it's going to be, his first lecture is going to be monetizing gentrification, and then on Sunday it's going to be talking about the automobile industry, how he went out, he was one of the pioneers for creating hot rides and redoing your ride, you know, pimp my ride type scenario. So again, that's the second weekend in September. Thank you all very much. Have a great evening.